call establishment of quorum. We can begin on this side.
Cesar Peña Jr. present.
Benito Hernandez present.
Alexander Flores present.
Javier Ramirez present.
Mayor Rick Regal present. I do believe we have a full and complete quorum. And I failed to mention the date. Today is December 3rd, 2024, on a beautiful, cool evening. Not very common down here, but we have that today. Next item, invocation and pledge. We can stand up. I'll go ahead and lead us in a prayer. We can bow our heads. Dear Lord, precious Heavenly Father, we come before you, God, to thank you, God, first of all, for life. Thank you for health, Lord Heavenly Father, and thank you, dear Lord, for sending your Son. It's around this time of year that we don't know if it was December, January, February, but we do know that you sent your Son, dear Lord, to be born and to die on a cross for us later on in life, Lord. And he is the reason for this season. We give thanks, Lord. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for your mercy, Lord. And pray that everything that happens in this meeting turns out for the betterment of this city and the community, Lord Heavenly Father. We thank you for the families that are here and their families and everybody else who's out there watching live. Thank you, Lord. And we do believe and know that you will come again in your glory and grace. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Be seated. Thank you. Next item, certified posting of agenda.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and council members, the agenda was duly posted as required by state law at least 72 hours prior to the start of the meeting.
Thank you. We're going to jump into, we have a lot of students and children that are here, so we're going to skip 5. We're going to get back to public comments. We're going to go into item number 6, recognition, so we can clear the families and they can move on and go on their way, and then we can continue with business. So item 6.1 on acknowledgements and recognitions. Item 6.1, recognition of softball all-stars, our World Series 10th, 12th, and 10U and 12U, excuse me, teams, staffed by Parks and Rec. Is it going to be Mr. Lugo? Go ahead, Mr. Lugo, you got the floor.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mayor, City Council, Robert Lugo, Parks Director. We have here a couple of teams that made our softball all-star teams. Our 10 and under couldn't make it today after all, so we're going to start with the Palm U 1, 12 and under. They had 2 invitationals. They played in Palm U. The first one, they came in second place. The second one, it was also in Palm U. They came in second place. And then they played the sectionals. That's where you either have to win it or place to advance. On the sectionals, they played in Alamo. They came in first place. They advanced to the regionals in Harlingen, and same thing. They had to either win it or place to advance to the World Series. In the regionals in Harlingen, they came in second place. They advanced to the World Series in Youngsville, Louisiana. There was about 16 teams out there. They came in the top 3. They came in third place.
Wow.
So between the first invitational and the World Series, I think they played about 20 games at least. So I like for the council to give them their awards, their plaques, as I call their names. First one up, Sofia Escobar. Aneli Carizales. Ruby Moreno. Yari Yarbrough. Salvador Sandoval, Jordan Palomín, Desiree Sanchez, and not present were Chloe Contreras, Jayla Perez, Yari Garcia, Celeste Ovidio, and Ximena Treviño. Coach Alberto Sanchez, and coaches that couldn't make it, Angel Ovidio and Pedro Escobar. So this was the Palm U 1 12 and under softball all-star team. I like the red shirts.
Thank you, ladies.
Hey. Okay, Mayor, City Council, this is our Palm U number 2 softball all-star team. They played their first invitational in Palm U, came in first place. The second invitational also in Palm U, they came in first place. Then they went to the sectionals where you have to win it or place in Alamo, and they came in second place. They advanced to the regionals in Harlingen. Same thing, you either had to win it or place, and they came in first place in Harlingen. They went to the World Series in Youngsville, Louisiana. There's about 16 teams out there, and they're actually in the championship game and came in second place. So let me introduce our team members. Serenity Lerma. Yari Mendiola. Renata Garcia. Darlene De Hoyos. Haley Salinas. Gigi Gomez. Sofia Rodriguez. Camelia Garcia. Juno Gomez. Ari Solis. And 2 members not present, Isabela Pequeño and Kiyomi Basan. Coaches, Coach Gabriel Gomez. Alex Rodriguez. And coaches not present, Angel Ovidio and Pedro Escobar. This was the Palm U 2 12 and under softball all-star team. Came in second place in the World Series. No, we're done.
So normally, lo que hacemos, what we normally do is we'll talk to you guys. Everybody will have a little something to say to you all, our own bit of advice, okay? So that's why we ask you all to stay a little bit. So we'll go ahead and start over here with Mr. Peña.
So congratulations, girls, coaches, parents, for the ultimate sacrifice of supporting your kids on playing. I know it's a huge effort financially, and also takes up a lot of time. What a great accomplishment to make it this far. And thank you for representing City of Palmview. And, you know, just keep up the great work. And right now that you're in the off season, work hard, both in school and in the playing field, to be ready. And I want to see each and every one of you here next year again. Thank you.
Good job.
Congratulations, girls. Congratulations all the parents and the coaches, because it's a lot of effort and a lot of time consuming, and to take you all the teams, all the games. And well, thank you for coming, and we're gonna see you next time with more good places. Thank you very much.
To the teams and the coaches, parents, everybody that takes time to put your best effort into the sport, thank you so much for choosing Palmview, and thank you for representing us so well. And I know it takes a lot of your time, of money, expense, all of that. It's a big sacrifice, as Commissioner Peña mentioned. But I also want the girls to reflect on everything else that takes place on the field, not just playing the game and winning. You know, reflect on what it takes to be a team and being a positive part of the team, and knowing that you're responsible for your own growth as well. At the end of the day, you know, we all have to work hard so we can get to the next level. And I'm sure the coaches are there to support you every step of the way. So we'll be here to help and support and cheer you on. So thank you again, and we wish you continued success. Thank you.
Coaches, parents, Mr. Lugo, thank you so much for this, this baseball factory, because that's exactly what Palmview has become. It has become a baseball factory, and that's no lie. There's the proof right there. We've been winning time after time, year after year, and someday we're going to win that World Series. Young ladies, baseball builds character. Your coaches take the time and the effort to come out here every day and teach you the game of softball. But they're also teaching you how to be good people and to contribute in your community, to build your character. That is the main reason that you are here, young ladies. And I am so proud to represent the City of Palmview, because these young ladies and the coaches, parents, the whole community as a whole, we represent a beautiful community, and you know, I'm just so proud of it, of being here today. Thank you so much, parents, again, coaches, Mr. Lugo, the whole community. Thank you so much. God bless you.
I couldn't have said it any better. They all gave you their input, but I had to give my own as well. I coached for the better part of 16 years. I didn't get to coach softball, though I coached baseball, but I coached every other sport. And I saw something in both groups. Y'all are very humble, and I'm touched right now, so if you hear a little wobbly in my throat, it's because the weather. I'm going to blame it on the weather. But my heart was very touched when I saw both groups of young ladies, because y'all aren't girls, y'all are young ladies now. You all were very humble out here with us. And especially the first group, and I'm going to give you all advice. The first group is a younger group. You know, when Mr. Lugo was talking about all your accomplishments, and Mr. Lugo is our parks director. How many of you have seen him here? Look, girls, ladies. Y'all have seen him here, right? Been busy. And he makes sure that everything runs smoothly out there, right? So make sure you treat him good, because he'll take care of you all, make sure those fields are in good shape for you all. But going back to the humbling part, when y'all came in here, I saw the humbleness, but and Mr. Lugo was talking about all the good things and all the people all the whipping that you all did to all those other teams. That's the kind of heart, that's a good heart, and that's a servant heart. That's one. So I'm going to ask you to always remember that. Sometimes you have to learn to be humble, and sometimes you're going to have to stand up and be strong, and that's life. And softball and any sport. How many of you play other sports besides softball? Look at that. Stay involved in your other sports. Stay involved in everything you're doing. Get involved in band, in choir, in folklorico, in music. Get involved, UIL. Get involved in that, because you're going to pick your avenue in life, and school offers that for you. There's a lot of things you can do. And then once you get into 10th and 11th grade, you're going to kind of hone in on, okay, these are the one or two things that I really feel I want to do. So sports and any activity, after school activity, is a great thing. Okay, take advantage of it, because most of it's free. Parents as well, it's free for you all, because your parents pay for all this. And your parents pay for the taxes that allow you to go to school too, all right? So the other thing that I started, before I started getting glitchy with my throat, about being humble, but also standing up when you have to be, is look at your opponents in the eye, and look at yourselves in the eyes sometimes, making that eye contact with your opponent. Don't humble yourself to your opponent on the field. You look up, you're not gonna go pick a fight, right? You're going to have a cool head, but you're going to look them in the eye and know that you mean business, and that you're there because you're going to want to win, right? Es una competición, y van a competir, y no te le vas a humillar, no vas a ver para como le hicieron aquí. Todas están hermosísimas. Allá se ponen los moños y se los aprietan bien apretados, y le echan ganas, o look at them in the eye. And sometimes you can see the fear or the nervousness or the anxiety in their eyes. And then you look at yourselves in the eyes, and then you make a decision, like Ms. Flores said. As a team, you work together. The first baseman has a job. The pitcher has a different job. The catcher has a different job, right? And so does the coach and the outfielder. But together, you work as one. So always look at your opponent in the eye, not to pick a fight, or just to study them and see what they're about, and give them their respect. And then finally, when you play, you look with your eyes, you feel with your heart, and think with your brain. Don't do the opposite, all right? Sometimes you might be beating a team by 20 points, or what is it when they stop the game? 11? What's the rule? 10-run rule? Depends on that boy, coach. Coach knows the rules. Sometimes you got to finish them off. Don't feel sorry for them, because they wouldn't feel sorry for you either, all right? And then finally, softball is like life. All right? And you're going to go, have you gone through some tough times in a game? Did you go through all of you are nodding your heads. And have you gone through some good times in the games? Oh, yeah, that's why you're here, celebrating, right? You came very close to, Mr. Peña already told you guys, we're going to see you here again next year, right? And hopefully we're going to see, and we hear the word hope and faith, that hopefully with faith you're going to work hard. Because it's not going to come easy. You're going to have to go through some tough times. You're going to have to pass your classes, go to, be at practice, come home and practice at home. And ya me metí 5 minutos de hablar, el mayor. But those things are what are going to take you to the next level. And if you don't push yourself hard enough, y no quiero, ama, no quiero, no, lo vas a hacer. Okay, but you're going to do it because they love you and they want what's best for you. And so do your coaches. So always listen to them and know that this game, you're going to have good times, you're going to have some tough times. And that's how life is. Así es la vida. En veces está bien como ahorita celebrando, pero hay días que no ganamos. So learn from your mistakes. Look your opponent with your eyes, feel with your heart, and think with your brain, and good luck, and God bless you. And like Mr. Peña and Mr. Ramirez said, we're going to see you again next year here. God bless you all, and good luck. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of you. Que Dios los bendiga y las familias también. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all can exit out that way, and we'll see you again. We'll get Joanne first. I know what Joanne's about.
Yeah. John, yo conozco a John.
Okay, we're gonna come back, and thank you all, thank you for your patience as well. We're gonna circle back to public comments, and we have two public comments. The first one is Mr. Joan Moreno, from a resident of here, Palmview, and he has a complaint on a local business and noise. Go ahead, sir, you have the floor. You got 3 minutes?
Just briefly, real quick, just for the rules, we have 3 minutes for public comments. I'll keep time here for you. And just so you know, the council can't respond to any of the public comments during this session, all right?
That's fine. Well, good evening. My name's Ron Moreno. I live here in Palmview, and, here comes the bad news now. No, but it's not really much of a bad news. It's just a little concern that I have. There's this business that opened up in front of my house. It's a tuning shop, and just to put it into perspective, it's like having the racetrack in front of my house. These people don't respect the hours. They're always revving the engines, tuning trucks. Customers do it, then they gather up there after hours. And we're having a hard time going to sleep, my kids. The city has been helping me. The police department has been helping me, but they're not listening. They're not doing their part. So I just come here just to let you guys know that they're not listening. They're basically doing whatever they want. And at the end of the day, you guys have the final word. So, I brought some city ordinances here that these guys are not, following. So I just wanted to let you guys know what's going on, and maybe you guys can help me. But this is happening, and right now it's just me. My neighbors are coming to me. They're asking me, what can I do? This is as much as I can do. But if you guys can look into it, maybe help us, and some of you guys are already aware of it. I know the chief is, but this is basically the problem that we're having right now. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Our chief is there, Mr. Moreno. I believe he's right up there in the foyer area.
And then Rudy, our planning director as well, should be there, and I think Rudy's familiar with the situation, and that business has been visited a few times by our permit department
Correct.
for some violations, so Rudy, if you don't mind, if you can get with him.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rudy, can you hear us?
We'll get him.
How about you?
Okay, next, we had a second second request for public comments by Ms. Brittany Gonzalez, another resident of Palmview, in reference to truck ordinances. Ms. Gonzalez, welcome and thank you, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Palmview City Council members. As most of you may or may not know, my name is Brittany Gonzalez, and I am an advocate for the trucking community in this city. For almost 4 years, we have been waiting for a public announcement to be made regarding heavy truck ordinances, and we have yet to see one. Instead of our trucking residents have been receiving warnings for violation of ordinances with absolutely no notice of the council's decision towards the enforcement of these ordinances. It's been said here that there has not been much pushback. However, the trucking community heavily pushed back in the comments on a Facebook Live meeting on May 19th of 2020, then pushed back again on the post of the ordinance map on February 9th of 2021, which quickly led to an impromptu meeting with dozens from the trucking community and the city manager outside the city hall, followed by the town hall meeting that was limited to 75 attendees due to COVID restrictions. The stillness since then has been nothing but demonstration of patience. In both of these meetings, we were told that there would be no enforcement or citations until the council made a decision. This statement can also be found in the town hall meeting minutes, which was held on February 25th of 2021. It seems unjust to receive any warnings when the city failed to notify the community when the decision was made. It was recently brought to our attention that the council reached their decision in a workshop meeting on November 14th of 2022. In this meeting's minutes, it also stated that there would be a social media press release post, and to this day, we have not seen one. In this same workshop meeting, there was mention of permits allowing residents to park their trucks on their property. It seems odd how only the fee for Sullivan City's permits was mentioned, but conveniently, Penitas hadn't confirmed. I would like the council to know that 2 weeks ago, I personally went into Penitas City Hall to request copies of their permits and registration, which I have also brought today for you to share with you guys. I'd also like the council to know that every phone call I've made to the offices in Penitas since February of 2021, I've gotten the same response. There is no fee, nor has there been a fee for their permits, which allow their trucks to be parked at home. Also mentioned in this workshop meeting was that 70% of cities have similar ordinances. This tells me that 30% don't. This is more proof that not only are neighboring cities cooperating with their truckers, but 30% of cities are as well. I don't think it's asking for too much to ask that we also be considered in our city too. An election was also suggested in this meeting to determine the enforcement. Although that was not an option that was presented to us, we ask that the council reconsider this, as we are aware of our options and rights as stated in the city charter in Article 7 under initiative, referendum, and recall, and it is understood that voters have the power to propose ordinances, approve or reject ordinances at the polls, or petition for referendum. If better options aren't presented to us, we will take the options we have as constituents of the city and move forward in exercising every right within our power. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, then, how long has that ordinance been in place? It was way before we got here. Okay.
It's been here, it's been on the books for a while.
Okay.
We just never announced it.
It wasn't enforced.
It wasn't enforced.
And also what made things difficult or challenging, I think, was the annexation. So, you know, in the cities, in those certain areas it didn't apply, and then the areas got annexed, and all of a sudden there's an ordinance that, you know, wasn't being enforced there because it wasn't part of the city.
Do we have the ordinance here so we can, we're
We need to add it to an agenda for the next meeting if the council wants to review the ordinance and consider any changes to it. It's not on here for today's meeting.
Mike, I know we had also put,
What
we
was
had
that,
also
Mayor?
put what streets they could and could not drive on trucks with that, we had a map.
Yeah, the way it was the designated areas. You
Correct.
know, these are the routes, these are the designated routes, you're running north and south, you know.
We do have a general item, 8.9, that talks about being able to talk about ordinances and possible action, but it would not be sufficient to amend any ordinance, as a specific ordinance has to be listed if you want to consider any changes at the meeting. But for purposes of discussion later in the meeting during executive session or other business, we're able to talk about some of that stuff.
Can we skip to that item since we have the community here, and then we can maybe hear some feedback as to what they want to see?
So you can skip to the item, however, please keep in mind that you cannot solicit any more community input, as this is a council meeting, and so during the discussion item, discussion is limited to council pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act. If you want to solicit community input and have the community be part of the conversation, then the council will need to call for a public hearing on the matter. In those cases, the community is permitted to be involved in discussion with council.
Okay.
All right. So
that-
we had already had a plan, we just hadn't been enforcing it. We had been, what would say?
Yeah.
And we just not been enforcing it. I don't, and,
So we're not on that item. If we want to talk about this,
Correct.
can we
Correct.
skip to the item instead?
Right. So we'll have a meeting at a later date to ensure and make sure that we put it in stone.
We can
All
do a
right.
public hearing if you all want on this, and you can solicit public input on that.
So should we skip to the item, or?
No, we're gonna keep the meeting.
I mean, you're not going to be able to solicit public input right now on the item,
Yeah.
it's just yours, but we can call a public hearing on the issue.
See, but just so they can hear whatever it is that we're gonna discuss about
It's
that item.
It's up to you.
'cause they're
It's up to the
here.
mayor to move an item out of order.
Right now,
If you'd like to move it out of order, you could.
we,
Which one was it, 8-9?
8.9.
8-9.
8-9.
Do we need to motion?
No,
or-
the
okay, so
chair,
we're gonna go ahead and, like, we skipped item 5.
just like we switched the other ones, you're
Sure.
taking 8.9 out of order.
Okay, so item 8.9, I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into item 8.9 discussion.
Sorry, Mayor.
And possible action, we're good. Regarding ordinances and zoning in the city of Palmview.
Mayor, this item, so originally started with discussions on some of the businesses that are on the expressway, and, you know, we talked about zoning and future uses and so forth. But because it is a general item regarding ordinances, if there are other ordinances that you would like to discuss, like the trucking ordinance, for example, or the designated routes, we can open the conversation. Again, it's a discussion item, not necessarily an action item to take any action, but for the council to have a discussion. So the floor is open.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the ordinance that we have right now, is that made public? Like, can people look it up maybe online and see what it is, what we have right now?
Yes, so pursuant to the local government code, all of your ordinances are posted online, and the publishing of your ordinances on your website is considered the legal notice to any resident living in the city.
And this item is to approve it, correct?
The item we have on here is not to approve it. The item that we have on here right now was for discussion intended about another ordinance and not the trucking ordinance.
Okay.
But because it's an open item, we
Right.
can talk about the trucking ordinance right now if you want. We just can't make changes to it today.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but the ordinance for going back to the designated trucking route ordinance has been in effect since, I think, 2005 was the original one. And what happened back in 2021, I think we started talking about maybe enforcing it. We heard from the trucking community. We had the town hall over there. It was very productive. I think we were able to hear a lot of their input. And council at the time said, you know what, we're going to stop. We're not going to enforce anything. We're going to wait. Let's at least get the streets paved over there, because these were areas that we annexed, make some more investment. So all the streets in certain areas were paved, lights were put up. And then we just kind of said, okay, at some point, we're going to have to revisit this on what we're going to do. So the ordinance has always existed, and it still exists, and it's still online. We just weren't enforcing it. So now is the time for council to say, you know what, this is what we're going to do, one direction or the other. We did talk about some of those options that came up, like the fees, permit fees, and looking at what other cities charge and so forth. So these were all things that were up for discussion, and they still are. Really, it's up to council what we want to do moving forward. You can give us input. Again, we can't vote or take action, but you can give us input so that we can then actually schedule something in the future, whether it be a change to the ordinance, whether it be the public hearing, whether it be another town hall. Again, everything's up for discussion.
But
Yeah.
I do want to make sure that the council and the community understand that the administration of the city has a legal responsibility to enforce the ordinances on the books. So if an ordinance is in the books, administration, planning, zoning, permitting has to be following the ordinance. The only way administration has the leeway to not follow the ordinance is if council repeals or amends the ordinance. But in the strictest sense of the law, the ordinances on the book are incumbent that administration enforce in the city.
I just want to say, I'm a strong advocate for all truckers, and, I was once told by a trucker that the world turns because of truck drivers, and yes, it's true. But the world also turns because of policemen. It also turns because of teachers. It also turns because of many, many people who are out there working every day to support their families. I just want the public to understand that ordinances are there for a reason. And it's not something that we make up to pick on certain groups of people. We want everyone to be happy, and we want everyone to be safe. The other day I got pulled over, and these are rules. I'm talking about rules in general. I got pulled over for not putting a blinker. And I said, chihuahuas, it was just a blinker. But what would have happened if just because I didn't put the blinker, some guy comes and hits me from behind, and that car in the back of me has a kid and dies. Just for a simple little rule that I broke, which was a blinker. Ordinances and rules are there for a reason, and they're there to protect all of you.
Okay.
Any other input? Right now, I think
I'm not familiar with the ordinance, so I don't know if this would be the time to go over that now, or I think it'd be a good idea to also put it on the agenda for a public hearing at another date.
Yeah.
That way we have time, or at least for me, to review it and understand what it says and get the history behind it as
And
well.
let's make sure that we have everything, and I know Ms. Gonzalez was concerned that the information was not out there for them. We need to make that available to them.
Yeah, I thought we
Let's
just
make
put
sure that we
So
do have
the
that.
the information is published on the website,
Okay.
on the city charter.
And the map
so-
as well of where the zones were and where they can and where they can't. I know, I think that should be up as well.
And that hasn't changed since the last time. Again, it was just, we had to put it on pause, so to speak,
Okay.
But what we can do is we can add a public hearing at next meeting with the specific intention for this ordinance. Then you can solicit more input from the audience outside of public comments for more input from that community.
Sí, quisiera mencionar que es una decisión bien difícil para nosotros porque no queremos que lo tomen a contra de su profesión, de su manera de hacer su...
Vida.
Comida en la mesa.
¿The what?
Like life,
Put
like-
food on the table, they're living.
I'm sorry, I'm bad at Spanish.
It is hard.
To
It
make
is
a
hard.
living,
Yeah,
right?
Because there's a lot
It's
of,
very, very hard.
there's a lot of, well, Palm Bio, que have a lot of trucks, okay? And there's a lot of calicheras around the Palm Bio. There's why there's a lot of trucks in this area, okay? But we need to fix this problem and benefit them because I know there's a lot of work around here, around the Palm Bio, okay? And we need to finalize something good for them, okay? Or agree with the city of Palm Bio, también con ellos, ¿entiendes? A enderezar esto, porque ya es mucho que
Ya
no
fue
me
mucho
gusta
tiempo.
que le estén dando tickets, warning o algo, ¿entiendes? Por eso necesitamos que tener una conclusión ya, ¿entiendes? Porque ya son 4 o 5 años que está pasando esto.
Y se me hace que por eso ha sido tan difícil hacer una final decisión y ya enforzarlo porque sabemos que es una necesidad de tener esta profesión, negocio, ¿verdad? Que esté conduciendo bien y que esté produciendo. Ha sido muy difícil. Mi papá también es troquero y pues aquí tenemos un dueño
Yo
también.
soy troquero, tengo troques.
Mi vecino.
so-
Tengo 2 troqueros que son vecinos.
Sí es bien difícil, pero pues sí ha pasado mucho tiempo y ojalá con otra junta, public
Una
hearing.
audiencia pública. Lo que comentaba ahorita es de que la administración de la ciudad, como el departamento de policías, el gerente de la ciudad, no tienen la discreción de no enforzar las ordenancias que están en la ciudad. Por ley, ellos tienen que administrar la ciudad de acuerdo a las ordenanzas en el libro. La única manera de cambiar eso es que el Consejo, el Cabildo, tiene que cambiar la ordenancia. Entonces están proponiendo tener una audiencia pública en la siguiente junta sobre ese tema para hablar con ustedes acerca de qué cambios podemos considerar para cambiar la ordenancia que existe ahorita en los libros. Pero por lo pronto es importante entender que por el lado legal de la ciudad y la responsabilidad de la ciudad, el departamento de policías y el departamento de administración o de zonas no tienen otra opción más que enforzar la póliza, la ordenancia que está ahorita en el libro, hasta que se cambie. Entonces, el Cabildo les está ofreciendo la audiencia pública a la siguiente junta para considerar cambios a esa ordenancia que está en los libros.
¿Qué sería lo más pronto posible tener esta junta?
Our next meeting is in 2 weeks. We can have an item on the 2 weeks, or does you want to have a special meeting,
We can have a special meeting,
do
and we need to pull out what we had from the previous meeting, because I know I see familiar faces too, and I've been quiet about it, because we have 2 new members here, and we've been here before when it first happened. So, yeah, we had already put something in place. I went to several of your homes, actually, and met with a bunch of you, and with former Commissioner Perez, and we discussed a lot of try to find a common ground. And that was before we spent over $2 million on the north side of Palmview to pave streets, of which we want to take care of those streets. And not only for truck drivers, which, but which are a part of our city, but for the citizens too. And like you all are here, and all of you are the trucking community, but you all have neighbors that are not. and I know you all are voicing your concern, but we also get the call, or at least I can't speak for everybody, but I know I get the calls. Ahí está el reefer, está haciendo un ruidazo. Y el troque voltean y ahí están y meten 3 o 4 troques en una yarda. I mean, I can say, hablar hasta que me pongo morado de las quejas que agarro. Y pues ellos también viven, son sus vecinos, ¿verdad? Y queremos también hallar para tener a todos, como muchas veces los gobiernos también dicen, no, lo hacemos el año que entra, sigue el problema. Y mientras que todos estén callados, dale, es ok. Y por eso lo hicimos hace 2 años, que dijimos, sabes que ya tenemos que hallar algo, y hablamos de cobranzas a los troques, hablamos de sacando los troques, hablamos de que se quedaran, pero que pagaran algo, hablamos de, ¿verdad?, que hacer una yarda, bastantes ideas. No era nomás así, se va a hacer y vámonos. No, porque ustedes también pagan taxas aquí, tienen voz, y por eso están aquí. Pero sus vecinos también pagan taxas y también tienen voz, ¿verdad? Y queremos hallar en inglés se dice una solución amicable, an amicable situation for everybody. And I think that's what we said the last time. And I believe lo hicimos eso y ponimos el código, parece que votamos para enforzar, ¿verdad? Ciertas, y pusimos las zonas, donde sí y donde no. Y lo más es en las colonias, ahí es donde está lo más, donde sale todo. Porque las main roads, lo que es la East Goodwin, la Green Road, que no son del estado, pasan troques. Mamá vive en la Minnesota y antes de que me casara, yo viví con ella por 10 años y en 10 años, mire, bastantes troques que pasaban, entraban y salían. ¿Por qué? Porque van para Wonderful Citrus. Y soy el alcalde. Y no estoy para levantar el teléfono y agarrar las placas y repórtalo porque pues yo sé que están trayendo negocio, pero también, ¿verdad? Por eso digo, ya ha llegado a un colmo hacia para atrás, se calmó, como les digo, y dicen, no, pues que pase, que siga, y pues no somos los encabezados de este pueblo ahorita, y que tenemos que hacer algo amicable para los que manejan los troques, también como para los que no los manejan en este pueblo. Si tienen, ustedes que tienen troques, cuiden sus yardas, traten bien a sus vecinos también, cuídense, it's a lot about destroying, I'll tell you all, it's about las tópicas grandes, los comentarios de las calles que se derrotan, las volteadas de las main roads adentro, y muchos troques también en las yardas, en solares chicos, y los troques corriendo, no mucho de eso, pero sí se oye mucho los reefer también. Tarea para ustedes también, ¿verdad? Ya nos dieron respuestas. Yo sé que fuimos para como 3 casas, yo y José Luis Pérez, y a discutir, ¿verdad?, con ustedes, pero esas son las quejas, y también no son todos los días que nos hablan, pero sí sabemos como Alton y Mission lo quitaron. Me sacaron el permit de Peñitas, pues por eso vinieron muchos a Palm View, porque lo sacaron de Peñitas. No sé si no ha hablado con el que era el mayor antes, me habló y me dijo, agárrate porque van para Palm View, aquí ya no los queremos. Me habló el dueño de un negocio muy grande aquí en Palm View y echándole a Peñitas porque dijo, ni a nosotros nos dejaron entrar, y esto fue hace como 2 años. Y hemos parado varios que no son de Palm View, no viven en Palm View, pero meten sus troques aquí en Palm View, y eso tampoco, ¿verdad? Si estamos dejando, son los de nosotros, no para que vengan de otros pueblos, porque ya no los dejan. Todas esas cosas tenemos que arreglar y hacer mejor para su colonia y nuestro pueblo. Y yo sé que Ms. Alejandra Flores quiere moverlo pronto y estamos de acuerdo. Les pedimos, no nomás vamos a hacer una decisión por hacerla, nomás para decir vamos a hacerla pronto, tenemos que juntarnos y mirarlo bien, y las soluciones que teníamos antes las vamos a poner en la mesa otra vez. Si ustedes tienen soluciones, buenas soluciones para ustedes también, como para sus vecinos, ¿verdad? Porque somos un pueblo, todos de diferentes colores y pues, todos somos raza. No creo que hay muchos judíos o ¿verdad? De India o de China, somos casi todos de aquí hispanos. Y pues necesitamos hallar nosotros, el pueblo, hallar la solución también. Y yo pienso y creo que sí podemos y lo vamos a hacer, ¿verdad? Con eso los dejo.
We just want to be fair with everybody. Queremos ser parejo con todos. Y when we do have this public hearing, I'd like not only truck drivers, but everybody in the community who's not a truck driver also, because we need to hear from them also. And I have heard, I get those phone calls, a mí también me hablan. Y no crean que yo les hablo por mis vecinos. A mí no me gusta eso. ¿Sabes qué? Yo los dejo. Si las policías no los agarran, yo no lo voy a andar hablando. A mí no me molesta. A mí no me molesta. Pero hay razones por cuales tenemos ordenanzas. Eso es todo lo que quiero que ustedes tengan en sus mentes. ¿Ok?
What dates can we look at as far as a meeting?
It could be as early as next week. We just need, we would want some input from council. Hey, look at this, look at that, look at that. So staff can get together and put that together and then be ready. That would be the only thing, just to make sure that we're ready with everything is next week. We could do it the following week in our regular meeting, but it'll probably be a long item. So it'll be, this might be worth having a special meeting just by itself, almost like a workshop just on this topic.
You talked about workshop.
So,
You talked about a workshop.
Yeah.
so we'll talk about it a little bit more, and we'll shoot for next week. I think Ms. Brittany Gonzalez, the advocate, and I know she's reached out a few times. If we make sure that we have your number, we'll let you know when that date is, so you can share it with the rest of the group también. But again, we'll shoot for as early as next week. But again, we just need to get staff ready for it to get all the information and all the data and all the options depending on what you guys are looking for.
And it has to be publicly posted as well, according to the Open Meetings Act. So you're going to be able to see it on the website, posted. There's a public hearing for that.
We'll reach out to Ms. We'll reach out to you, Ms. Gonzalez, since you're the point of contact for the group, or we can reach out to you. How does that
So
sound?
la próxima semana nos volvemos a juntar para hablar y discutir juntos, ¿verdad? Para escuchar sus ideas, opiniones, qué es lo que no les gusta de la ordinancia y qué son opciones que podemos quizás cambiar. Okay. So, nos comunicamos con Ms. González para darle la fecha y el tiempo, la hora. Okay. Muchas gracias por asistir, por tomar su tiempo. Sé que podrán estar en sus casas ahorita calientitos cenando y con su familia, pero están aquí porque tienen algo que de veramente merece tiempo y para nosotros también hacer lo más posible para ayudarles, ¿verdad? Con lo que necesitan, ¿verdad? So, ojalá y les podemos ayudar de esa manera.
Gracias.
Gracias a ustedes.
Thank you.
Thank you all. No shots fired.
Okay, so 8-9 now.
No shots fired. No, we gotta come, okay, so we're on 8-9.
We're still on 8-9.
We didn't make a motion or a
No,
second?
this is not a discussion item,
Okay, but it's on
but it does say
the,
possible action on it.
on the card lot?
Yeah, I want to have an executive anyways, so,
8-9?
yes,
Okay.
for the other portion.
Sí.
The other
okay.
part of it, okay. Yeah, so we just,
Now we can just go back to item 7 for consent agenda. And you get the
I'm
rest of
sorry.
the agenda afterwards.
okay. Item, okay, 6-1. Okay, 7, approval of minutes. Do I have a
A
motion?
motion to approve.
Approval of minutes for November 19, 2024, for the record, and November 26th, for the record. I have a motion, a second. Questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 8.1, discussion and possible action on Veterans 495 expansion project, including utility relocation and adjustments. Do I have a motion? And then I need a motion and a second so we can discuss.
Wait, start the discussion.
So you can have,
You'll never learn.
you can have, when you call an item, administration can present the item, you can't discuss, Your discussion begins after a motion and a second.
After a motion, right.
But the presentation part from administration can occur before the motion.
I so move to,
Okay, I have a motion, and I'll go ahead and second it,
Is this the open item?
so that to discuss it, yeah.
so now we can.
So we have a motion and a second.
Now, is there any discussion?
Like, let's say here, just for learning, right? Like, let's say here that we don't, let's say, no, but we had a motion and a second, and then
And if you don't want to move forward with it after
nobody votes,
discussion,
it dies.
then it dies. That's correct.
Or
You just voted
vote
down.
say nay, I
You voted down.
don't want it, no.
And just because you motion and you second does not mean you're voting for it.
Right.
You can
Correct.
vote against it. You're only motioning and seconding to advance the item for discussion.
Discuss it, correct. So, yeah,
Okay,
sometimes I
Mike.
jumped into it too without motion and
It's okay.
second, but we need to.
So then, should there be a motion and a second twice for?
No, because the motion is to approve the way it's listed
She'll
on here.
remind me, and she
Okay,
does
this,
very
this discussion
eloquently.
on the Veterans 495 expansion project, including utility relocation adjustment project. What are we talking about here?
So, okay, what we can do is, read the item, let, myself or the department head do the presentation, do their part, and then when you want to start your discussion on your end,
Go ahead.
that's where you can do the motion second.
So who's this? It says city manager.
It's
Yes.
okay, we're already motion and second, so just
Okay.
present it. We'll do
So-
it for the next one.
So this item is related to the 495 expansion. We've been having some meetings and discussions with Awasud regarding the expansion. Of course, as you may know, Awasud, TxDOT is doing the expansion. It's an MPO project. TxDOT's the lead, and the county and the city are participants. And in part of that, as part of that expansion, Awasud said, you know what, there's a lot of work that needs to be done there, some repairs that need to be done to the sewer. We're going to put that as well. And aside from that, they need to relocate their lines anyway. So they're going to relocate some of their lines to make room for the expansion. And the topic has come about fire hydrants. Fire hydrants, usually you see them, every 500 feet spread out, obviously for fighting fires. So Awasud has approached us, and their engineers here today to speak a little bit more about it, but saying, you know what, while we're doing all the work here, this is a time to revisit, do you want fire hydrants at, every 500 feet or 300 feet, whatever that, whatever those requirements are, number one, and if it's something that we want to entertain, there is a cost associated with it, and that cost right now, it looks like it would fall on the city if we were to do it. But before we jump into that, we just want to call on Chris with Sam's Engineering to give us a little bit of background on that, with your permission, Mayor.
Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be here. So just really briefly, Michael already touched on it a bit. Y'all can hear me okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
So yes, so we're working on the utility relocation on Awasud's behalf. So with the work already being done, we're doing the design portion. We're wanting to already factor in the fire hydrants. Obviously, because of the fire hydrant part, Awasud's responsibility falls strictly with providing water, not providing fire protection. And so with that reasoning, we looked into how much fire hydrants would be needed, factoring what's already considered, or what's already built. So roughly looking at that and actually talking with Rudy, and he talked with the fire marshal, so the ideal fire hydrant spacing was actually 400 feet. So we took a look at that number, and pretty much we're looking at a total of around 21 fire hydrants that would be needed, brand new. The ones that are existing, we're just going to relocate. That's going to be part of what we're already doing. But for the new fire hydrants to cover all of Abram to La Homa would be an additional 21 fire hydrants,
How much is each fire hydrant?
roughly 6,500 apiece.
Yeah, and you're gonna relocate the ones that are already there?
Correct. Or reconnect them to the new water line, because we're putting in a brand new water line, and we're going to get rid of all the ones that are existing.
So one thing I would caution the council with that we would have to probably do is that I'm not sure what y'all's tariff says about fire hydrants for Awasud. And so if their tariff, which is their governing bylaws and stuff like that, do not account for example, maintenance or guarantees at the fire hydrant point, then if you make an investment of this much into this and then they're not guaranteeing the water for you at the hydrant, then are you going to make the expense and not have the water there? So instead, I would probably recommend that we maybe have a meeting with them, find out what their tariff says, and see if they want to enter into an MOU with us in order to have guarantee for water at those pressure points.
Yes. I totally agree. Totally agree.
It's almost 140,000.
140,000.
Well, this is an action item. We're actually recommending that you do not take action. This is an opportunity more to just to hear, because these are some discussions that we're also going to want to have on our end. Either be it with our fire chief or with permit and zoning, because there are other things where, you know what, if we we don't do all the fire hydrants, but there's future development, you know, the responsibility of the developer that's gonna develop needs to put fire hydrant. Like any new subdivision that goes up today, that's a, you know, that's a responsibility that falls on the developer, so that's another thing that we can look at as well.
How many fire hydrants are existing from point A to point B?
Existing from our end, what we have
From
is
Bagram to La Homa?
is about 7 fire hydrants. They're
Total
mostly
7.
falling between East Goodwin Road and Palmview Commercial Road. That's where most of the fire hydrants are. And then
So is it
East-
21 additional?
21 additional.
And
correct.
some are not, some of those are not even along 495, right? They're like in,
I'm focusing strictly on 495. yes. Or, sorry,
And
SH 495, yes.
Are they up to code? Are they acceptable as they are
To
right
my
now?
understanding, yes. Again, we can, what he was mentioning.
But they're not guaranteed or maintained by Iowa Sud.
Correct, yes, he's
So
correct in saying that, yes.
the question is, and with all due respect to Iowa Sud, we wouldn't know because it's not a higher hydrant that we're guaranteeing. Like it's on their line. So that's what I'm saying. I think an MOU would be more appropriate because if we're going to make the investment to have a fire hydrant there, then they have to guarantee that, for example, in their work and the service they're doing, they're not going to cut it off one day or not guarantee the water pressure. Otherwise, you're going to spend the money and not have water there.
Right.
Yeah, and part of the discussions we've had already was an interlocal to that cover the same standard, because exactly that same thing. We want to make sure we can provide the water, first of all. Biggest thing is, we want to get on top of it while the work is going to be done soon, instead of going in after the fact to not tear up or mess with the road. That's the main consequence, but yes, definitely, whatever agreements are needed.
And I think that's an excellent idea that we're having this conversation before it's happening. So if you are interested in that, right, then I agree with Michael, you all should maybe table this item so we get to meet with them, and then try to work out an MOU prior to agreeing to the,
or could we pass the, you know, vote in favor pending legal review and contract? No?
because I think it should be done appropriately through an MOU. There's not an MOU listed on here.
Okay.
And so instead, I would say, table the item, have Mike and we'll reach out to Wawa Sud, and we'll work with them about working out an MOU about putting on those fire hydrants, with the issue with serviceability at the bottom end at least.
So do we move on?
I would just
tabling, or they just
table the item.
Okay, so then,
So right now you have a motion and a
okay,
second.
motion.
So just vote it down.
Does he
Vote it
receive
down.
it? Can he rescind it, or
You
we
can
just vote it
rescind
down?
your second. Who has a second?
I had the second.
You can rescind your
I'll
second?
rescind my second.
You
I
can-
rescind
I
my second
rescind
motion.
my first.
Your motion. Now we
My
can have a motion to table the item.
I make a motion to table the item.
I second that.
Okay, motion second. And can we include, you know, to
Yeah, we'll do that regardless. You don't need to include it in the
to
language.
work with the MOU and any other needed information. All right?
We have to call for a
Motion,
vote.
so we had a motion, a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So now for item
And-
8.2.
And any other existing fire hydrant in the city? Okay, take one step at a time.
I feel like we're outside.
Okay.
So now for item 8.2, you can call the item forward.
Okay, update on traffic light on La Homa, Scott Lane and Business 83, Loop 374.
Now administration will present the item.
And this was just an update, no action item, but Cesar isn't, unfortunately, he's not here. He's out and about with the routes. As a reminder, you know, the trash over the holidays, there was a lot of trash out there, so our guys were really busy, but they still work through the holidays. We do have a truck that's out, so we made arrangements with Alton, and now they're catching up, and Cesar is, you know, as you all know, he'll jump on the truck and help out himself. So the update that we had asked him to provide for you guys is, TxDOT informed us about a couple of months ago that they're gonna be doing work on Old 83 and La Homa and Scott Lane. And as you all know, when the bridge opened up there and that connection was done, it was new to everybody. A lot of people didn't know about it. And there's been some accidents there. And unfortunately, there's been some fatalities there as well. So TxDOT was asked to revisit that. They've done a study, they've done analysis, and right now they feel that a traffic light there is warranted. So they're in that process right now. They're going to be communicating with us. Of course, you know, Business 83 is a TxDOT road, so they'll be the ones, you know, to finally determine that and then do the actual work with notifications and communications to the city. So this is just an opportunity to let you know and to let the public know as well that there's quite possible there'll be a traffic light there in early 2025.
Great. Yeah, it's kind of dangerous.
It is.
I've gone through there and you know, it's hard to see if there's oncoming cars going west when you're going
And it's a long way to cross, too,
Yeah.
5 lanes.
Especially if you're going
Yeah, like you
over
wanna
to
go-
Scott Lane.
Yep, exactly.
Got it. All right, so.
That's all we have on the update.
Update.
All right, thank you. So no action. Item 8.3, discussion and possible action approving a resolution for rifle resistance body armor grant program. All right, step by our chief.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. This resolution is for the rifle-resistant body armor grant. We currently do have rifle-resistant body armor. It's coming up on its expiration date. So this is a grant that we applied for. We just need the resolution to move forward with the awardance of this grant to purchase new rifle-resistant body armor for all our officers.
So it's not going to cost us anything?
No, sir.
No?
All right, chief, thank you, sir.
I so move to approve.
Good job.
Second.
Motion, I have a second. Any questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 8.4, discussion and possible action on scheduling Palmview Day at Capitol and a preparation for a Palmview legislative agenda.
Mayor, so the legislative session is upon us right around the corner, starts in early 2025. As customary, we use the opportunity to go up to Austin, visit with our legislator, with our local delegates, our state reps, and our senator. And we also, with state agencies, whether it be the Water Development Board, TCQ, any agency that, of interest. It's an opportunity to get down, sit down, get some face time, and talk about the topics that are important to the city of Palmview, number one. So we want to talk about a potential date so Ms. Annette can start working on those arrangements. We want to make those arrangements as far in advance as possible so we're not stuck, too far of a distance from the place and we get the best deal possible. The other item here is do we want to put together a formal agenda? And sometimes if there's topics that we want to push, some legislative action that we want to see, we can put together a legislative agenda, go and present this agenda to our representatives and others as well, because we're trying to get support of a topic of special interest to Palmview. For example, in the past, what we did was we urged our delegates to, we wanted more representation with Agua Sud. Before, as you all remember, each city had a vote, and the city could have 20 people, and Palmview has 4,000 people, but we had the same vote. We had only one vote. So we pushed legislation, Senator Hinojosa pushed that through, and now we have single-member districts where it's more representative.
Correct.
The topics that come to mind that come up every session, of course, is RCCN rights, and from what we understand, it may not lead legislation, but we still want to have the support of the delegates, and anything else that you can think of. If there's any topics of interest that we want to urge, cities to always take a strong position on no more unfunded mandates, meaning the state, if state, you're going to pass a new law and tell the city that you need to do that, you need to send us the money to do that. Don't put that undue burden on cities.
Right.
But again, this is all up for discussion.
Yeah, let's have a legislative agenda.
Okay.
I would want to reach out to Mr. Hinojosa in reference to what we just discussed with the water, and again, here we are again doing some major stuff, and him and Miss Monica.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, federal, but yes.
Federal as well. And maybe we could set something up there via Zoom through Mr. Hinojosa's office or through who else? Mr.
Sergio.
Munoz, correct?
State reps.
Or Longoria.
Mhm.
And we get our voice to be heard.
It's always good to have a legislative agenda when we go out there.
When do we want to set this agenda up for?
Do we have
This will
any
be like in
dates?
2025, right?
Because the other thing too is there's an RGB
Okay.
Capital Day where a lot of
got it.
cities get together over there, and so we try to coordinate the date. Yes, sir.
Why don't, at the workshop? that
Okay.
we have next week. Why don't we put it in there, set the
Well,
little,
is next week going to be are we talking about a public hearing
oh, the hearing.
or a workshop?
No, we said hearing.
I mean, we can do it in a workshop setting, no?
Maybe we could end the hearing with the public,
But
and
the
then do a little
public
workshop.
can give their feedback.
No, es
In
mucho.
a workshop?
We got time. We don't have to rush.
Okay.
Right? Okay?
But we can do both topics on that day regardless, yes. The answer to that, I think, is yes. How we do it and how we structure it, that'll be on us. But yes. Ms. Annette, do you remember there was any dates where the RGV Capital, the day was going to be? Okay.
It's like spring, yeah, right before spring.
You still have time.
So what we'll do is we'll start working on dates. If there is an interest, and it seems like there is, we'll start working on dates, and you'll probably be hearing from Ms. Annette. Are you available this week? It's the week of. We go, on a Monday night, come back on a Wednesday. That way we're there all day Tuesday. We're all there one day from morning to end. and we fill it up. You know, we, aside from visit the House and the Senate, you know, the state agencies, in some cases we split up into 2 groups. You guys take this, you guys take that. We're gonna have the same discussion with the MDD. The MDD in the past has gone as well, so we'll start working on that.
That's always been a challenge, hasn't it?
What are some topics, what are some other things that we could bring up that we could
I have
try and get some
good,
support for?
we'll pick Mr. Ramirez's brain for that a little bit. I have a very creative
Water's a big hot topic right now,
idea.
of course.
Yes.
Which one? Water?
Water rights for us, specifically the CCNs.
I liked Eden's idea that he shared at the last workshop.
Can
Maybe we could dig into that a little bit more.
Okay, it's not on.
I just don't know, who would we talk to over there in regards to that? The wells, the water wells?
Well,
Like maybe ask for
that's
funding.
what I was thinking of
Asking
getting
for
our CCN
support
and
from-
selling water.
I know
And
that
there's no, there's,
there's two
we're not
things
gonna
that-
take it away from
two
Awasad.
things are-
We
two
don't,
things are coming up. One are the wells, and the other is desalinization of water from the
The ocean.
Una Madre, yeah. So those two are hot topics right now. I
So-
just came from I went to Rio Plex meeting this morning with the mayors, and there was from Brownsville all the way to Palmview. And it was on businesses, but the topic came up again.
and I'll bet,
Water.
we would be selling water to Awasad. And there's money in water, guys, and, you know, that, our job here, our purpose here is to bring in more revenue. There's nothing more than water that would bring more revenue to our city, guys. And, you know, when you have money, sky's the limit. And that's what we're here for. Create a quality of life for our citizens, and with money, that's how you can do it.
So there's
And
no
I might not
action.
be around when this happens, but we're gonna plant that seed and cultivate that seed.
Amen. Amen, sir. Okay, so,
No need for action, Mayor. We got the input, the actual direction that we need. So again, you know, we'll proceed as directed and expect to be hearing from Annette in the near future. It looks like some of the dates we're going to be looking at are January 23rd through January 26th that week. But again, Ms. Annette will follow up with some correspondence.
okay. Hold on. I'm taking a couple of notes. All right, thank you. Next item, 8.5, discussion and possible action to approve award to select grant management firm for grant pre-application applications and implementation service for the City of Palm View's Disaster Recovery Reallocation Program as administered by the Texas General Land Office, and to authorize the city manager to negotiate and agree to a final fee on behalf of the city. Staffed by Mr. Liu.
Mayor, we had issued requests for proposals for grant administrator. This is to go after grants where additional funds were released. They were disaster recovery funds from prior disasters going back, 10 years plus. Funds that either weren't utilized or, maybe other entities were awarded and they lost them. So there's a big pool of funds. The catch is that we have to move quickly, so we are moving quickly. These two items are related to that. This first one allows us to select an administrator for the project. There was one sole response, that was GrantWorks, so we're asking that we accept that and award the selection to GrantWorks.
I motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? The only question I have is how much did we say we were looking at receiving possibly?
For the grant, the minimum is 500,000 per project. We submitted 3 of interest that we're trying to move fast on.
500 per project?
Yes.
Beautiful.
And we submitted for 3, an interest. The actual work will be done in conjunction with GrantWorks if we move on this item to move forward with the actual applications.
I'd like to also, just real quick, if and when, or what is the plan? I know it's drainage, right? It's for us.
Drainage or street improvements
streets there.
or equipment. And let me tell you that we had to move quickly, so with staff got together and we tried to identify 3 projects that we had done some work, so those 3 are already out there. It was paving East Goodwin from 495 all the way to 2 Mile Line. Is it East Goodwin where the subway is?
Right.
From 495 all the way to 2 Mile Line, because you have to be thinking of low to moderate income areas. So that stretch there, For drainage, we looked at the business center detention pond. The water just sits there, so the project would be, okay, let's pull the water out and get it. That was gonna be the second part of the project. And then the third one that we submitted was for generators for our new fire station and police department, one,
So when
huge generator.
When we meet, I remember the generator, when we have our little workshop, let's include that so we can have that, I'm not gonna change with, I think we're all okay with.
Yeah, that
with
was good.
When we-
those three, those are very needy.
Okay.
And I think even on that overlay on East Goodwin, or Green Road,
Yes, East Goodwin from 495 to 2 Mile Line.
okay, beautiful. We might wanna, once it's done, say, hey, make it thick for.
Oh, yeah.
so-
Yes, we know why.
For our community.
Everybody wins.
But we'll talk about that. I have an idea. I have an idea.
And we'll put
That
a,
can
we'll
help
put a, we'll put a toll fee for certain vehicles. All right, so we had a motion, a second, good discussion included in the workshop, so we can just, enlighten us a little. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. 8.6, discussion of possible action to select engineering architectural service provider to complete applications and projects related to engineering architectural services for the disaster recovery allocation program funding administered by Texas GLO. Staffed by Mr. Leo.
Mayor, these packets, again, at our last meeting, the council decided that the committee was going to be the council themselves, as is customary for professional services. You guys are the ones that rank and evaluate those. So at this time, Ms. Annette should have already given you the binder, so we're going to go ahead and collect those binders if you have them. Then we'll keep going with our meeting. That will give staff time to have it hit the scores, and we'll do that item later once we have the totals. So, do y'all have your score sheets?
I have
Do you
not
need
scored
time
them.
to complete them?
Yeah, I need a little time. Can we complete it during?
Yeah, during the meeting, if you're okay with doing it during the meeting, that's fine.
Okay.
Well, so we'll wait, so we don't have to collect them all together at the same time, just put them up here. They're
Okay,
ready.
Mike.
We have two ready.
Now, question on this, and just so that the public can know. This grant is specifically for,
The same three projects that we kind of mentioned.
okay,
Those are the three that we've identified, for drainage, for street paving, or for equipment. Fixed, and it's fixed assets, it has to be in the ground, it can't be like a fire truck or something.
right, it's gotta be something that's like a generator
Like the generators,
or
for
something like
example,
that.
yeah. So Groundworks will be the administrator, now we need an engineer or architect. I think we had 4 responses, and I think they were engineers mainly that responded, maybe one architect. But if not, engineers. Again, the score sheets are there, we'll go on with the meeting. Once you're ready, put them on the table, that way we know that they're ready. So we have 2 now, so we're missing the other 3. And we can discuss that later as well, but for now, we can move on, Mayor, if you'd like.
Sure. Just kind of finishing it up. Next item, we are in 9, section. Hey, hold on. We're in, excuse me, 8.7?
We're going to 8.7.
Okay, we didn't do, okay. We need, okay, time out. We're gonna go back to 8.9, right?
Actually, Mayor, with your permission, what we want to do now is 8.7, 8.8, and 8.9, and we can take those into executive session so you can consult with your attorney. 8.7.
And that's all.
What is legal recommending? I see him smirking.
All right, well, actually, I take it back. If we can go with item 8.7,
Okay.
and then the other, let's
The
start
other
with 8.7.
2, we can go into executive?
Yes.
All right, let's start with 8.7.
So 8.7, discussion of possible action to approve an interlocal agreement with the city of Penitas regarding emergency medical services, staffed by city manager.
Mayor and council, on this item, we currently do have an interlocal already with the city of Penitas for EMS services that we provide with them. That's coming up for renewal. We are requesting that the council approve the renewal, subject to 2 changes that legal is going to be incorporating. Specifically, that relates to any time there's a default of payment to the city, that we have an automatic cancellation clause in there for the services, or also be able to recover any interest on money that's being delayed and paid to us. We've had some instances where we've had some delay in payment, and we've had to go out to collect, and so we feel that these 2 additional clauses in there will assist the city in order to better, more effectively collect on any money that's owed to the city. So-
Okay, so when we move on this item, if we do move on this item, you want us to put those conditions?
I would like the council, I would recommend the council approve the renewal of the interlocal, subject to legal's recommendation changes.
I so move to approve with, subject to legal review.
I second.
A motion and a second. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 8.8, discussion and possible action to Okay, so we're going to take 8.8 and 8.9. Do I have a motion to take items 8.8 and 8.9 into executive session at this time? I'll make them, I'll second your motion. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. So at 7:26 PM, I will read our government codes and go into executive session at 7:26 pursuant Texas Government Code 551, 071, 072, 073, 074, 076, and 087. We will be back shortly. Thank you.